Welcome back to the Cricket Betting Podcast. I'm Ed Hawkins. This is the only podcast which tells you exactly what happens in the biggest cricket matches. This episode is brought to you by 7bet.co.uk, a fresh sports betting brand that offers such features as early payout, bet builder, betting insights, ACCA boost, and more. Go to 7bet.co.uk and experience world-class betting yourself. Let's say hi to Paul Krishnamurty. And as succinctly as possible, Paul, I'm going to test you. Give us one cricket betting rule which we must not go without as we start.
Okay. So I think you could guess what I'd say. Back extreme outcomes in play, whether that be on the runs or match results, just because the fundamental nature of cricket requires big turnarounds. That's just how it works. And this will pay in the long term.
Same to Richard Mann of sportinglife.com.
Yeah, this is very topical because I didn't back one in Australia's Marsh Cup overnight at a big price. If you can make a decent case for something at 50 to 1 or above, and you're thinking about it, you must play at those odds. Once you've made a case for one, if it's a massive price, then you've done enough to convince yourself to have a small wager. I didn't overnight, and I've been cursing to Paul all day about the fact.
You could have said you must follow the best bets on this show, which are up plus 34 points. Paul responsible for the vast majority of Richard Mann and slightly unders at -2. Or you could have said get subbed up to that VIP channel. Monster winners in the last few days and bumper 4 out of 4 on Saturday when we had wins at 9-2, twin bets at 10 to 11 and 3.25 in play on West Indies versus Bangladesh in Mirpur. You'd be mad to miss out. Check out the comments and get subbed up below. But what is on the show this time? We tell you what happens in New Zealand versus England third T20, Australia versus India, second ODI. A very, very early look at New Zealand versus England in the first ODI. I've got no odds on that, but we'll be picking out some trends and reminders. But we do start with Ashes Watch, 7bet.co.uk. No change in their series odds, 18 to 25, the Aussies, England 7 to 4, draw 38 to 5. Paul, you were coming to round England last time we saw you. Any change from you?
No, not at all. Not at all. If anything, feeling stronger about it. Just it hasn't been occupying my mind that much, if I'm honest, but just looking back, thinking about previous tours and all the various doubts we've often had about England lineups, strengths and weaknesses, we haven't really got that. We know what England are. We know what they have. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses, and they have got a lot of strengths. They're not perfect. And on the other side, you're just looking at, the more I think about it, it's just an aging side, right? It's an aging side that could have gone over the top any point in the last 2 or 3 years, but it hasn't because they've got some great players, particularly a bowling attack, but they've got doubts amongst the bowlers. I think they've got to be taken on Australia. And I reiterate what I said last week. The two scores I like as a joint trade are 2-2 and 3-1 England.
Rich, Paul mentioned lineups there. I presume this is basically common knowledge, but they've got Wood and Archer, of course, in their squad. But they don't play all five, do they, Wood and Archer? I'm just not sure whether people realise that, so maybe we should point that out. They may play three together, those two, but this is going to be an England bowling lineup which is rotated, surely.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the plan, hasn't it, for a while when they sort of ushered Anderson out, try and get a battery of quick bowlers. I think it's three for Wood. I mean, he's no real use to England bowling 85 mile an hour. They want him fresh. But they could play three together because I think it's about, you think about who's going to open the bowling. Wood won't open the bowling, but your opening bowlers are Archer, Carse, Atkinson, and then you'll have Wood and maybe Tongs a light replacement for Mark Wood. Actually, he might play the two that Wood doesn't play, someone who can blast out the tail. I think that'll be really important, actually, runs at the end, and England will want to be able to knock them over. The first test at Perth, I think England will go at Australia with pace like India did last time. So I can imagine Stokes at 6, Smith at 7, Carse opening the bowling with Archer 8 and 9, Wood, and I suspect they will play Bashir in the first test. The other option is to pick Will Jacks at 8 actually, and have almost a batting all rounder and really beef up the batting. But I think they'll go with Bashir. It's a bit of a knocking confidence, isn't it, if you don't play him in the opener? But the second test at Brisbane, that's well over a week later. So in theory, Wood and Archer could actually back up there. The back-to-back tests are third and fourth, Adelaide and the MCG. But I do think they'll want to get Atkinson in at Brisbane for that day-nighter. That sort of stand-up seam bowler who nips it about a bit. Brisbane, has done a lot in the last couple of years. So first two tests you could in theory have Wood and Archer playing together, but does get trickier thereafter with those back-to-backers over Christmas.
Alrighty. A quick reminder just before we get started on our games, get subbed up to crickstats.ai as well for your best cricket betting data at your fingertips. We're certainly using them to find angles for this show, for VIP and free Telegram channels. So get onto that and don't miss out. Let's get our first game on. It is Australia versus India in the second ODI. It's Thursday, 04:30. It's a day night from Adelaide. 4-6 Australia generally. 13-10 India with SpreadX 10bet and Sporting Index. As I said, Adelaide the venue. The average score betting first in your last 10 is 253, 8.3 average number of sixes per match. 4 of the last 6 day nighters have been won by the side batting second. Probably not a big enough trend to start getting involved with. Paul, anything on the ground?
Well, in the 5-year study sample that I always do, there's only 2 one-day internationals, and one of those involved Australia getting skilled for 163. So I don't really think you can take much from that. I think if you're looking at Adelaide, you've got to look more at the Big Bash. We know inside out. Look, this was always a high-scoring ground in all formats over the years. But we've seen it become a total road in the Big Bash last couple of years. So I think we should look at high-scoring game, and historically, this was a bat first wicket, I found.
Okay, let's look at some potential teams for you. Big changes for Australia because Carey and Zampa are now available. So we've got them in R11, which looks like there's Marsh, Head, Short, Philippi, Renshaw, Carey, Owen, Stark, Zampa, Ellis, and Hazelwood. So Connolly and Poonman missing out. India, Rohit, Gill, Kohli, Shreyas, Rahul, Reddy, Sundar, Axar, Arshdeep, Siraj. Axar will actually bat 5 or 6, won't he? Instead of I had him down at 7. Richard, Australia got stronger, but India better for the run. A sort of weird dichotomy of players who are just raw rather than undercooked, and others who are probably a bit tired after that West Indies Test series. What's your view?
Yeah, I'd agree actually. To steal a racing term, I definitely think they'll come on for their run from Sunday. And look, if you look at Sunday's game, they were put in first at Perth, which generally does a bit for the new ball overcast conditions. Their batting innings was just completely interrupted by rain. They were on, off, on, off. So I would cut them some slack for that actually. Rohit, Virat should strip fitter if you like. But what did impress me about India is they batted deep. I mean, Nitish Reddy coming in at number 8, he played a real handy cameo, blasted it about Kale, Rahul, Axar. They've got loads of batting, haven't they? And India have always played well here at Adelaide. It's a ground that they like playing at. They beat Australia in a one-day international here. It was back in 2019, but they chased down 299. That man Virat Kohli made a ton, and I think they're a bit of value, if I'm honest.
Paul, you were quite keen on India in the first match. Actually, both you and Richard were. I think we were on the WhatsApp group, and I was a bit negative. You swerved them in the end, though. What thoughts now?
I'm very much with Rich here. I think you've got to forgive Sunday. They were put in overcast conditions, first out in a series on a very pacey pitch. Adelaide's completely different. This probably suits them better than any other ground, you would think, of the main Australian grounds. I think they remain a much better side than Australia over 50 overs. Their recent record is far superior. They're stronger batting line. Australia are stronger, admittedly, with Carey and Zampa back, but Cameron Green's out of this one. I still think they're inferior. I think Stark and Hazelwood be a lot less effective. And I think 13-10's a cracking price about India.
Richard, what else happens in the match?
Yeah, I'm quite keen on ones here. I thought that both teams scored 275 with Paddy Power Betfair Sportsbook at 9-5. I thought that was a really solid bet. As a reference, that ODI, it was back in 2019, but India chased down almost 300. And the Marsh Cup that's been ongoing, Adelaide's looked pretty good for runs this season. There was a 298 by Western Australia. You would imagine that this is probably the best surface that they will have produced so far this season, the international wicket. All I would say is, and we're a little bit way out from Thursday, keep an eye on the weather forecast. It's Monday now at the time of recording. There's rain forecast, but not on Thursday. That's a better forecast, but obviously that is changeable from where we are now. So do keep an eye on that.
And Paul.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with Rich on this both teams to score thing. You get both to score 250 is 1.82 with Dapper bet. I think that's a brilliant bet. And I'd look at the 300s and even the 325s. I think it could be, judging by what we've seen at Adelaide in the Big Bash, it could be an absolute run fest this. And I think also, I mean, India's runs are over 259.5 with Dapper bet. I would definitely be backing overs if that is the first inning. If they bat first and that's the line, I'd probably. Well, if it's 5-6, 259, what would you be looking at for 300? Maybe 3-1, 7-2, cracking bet.
It's looking like a chunky bet at that low mark, I have to say. Let's look at some players to follow our win rate bets. We've done the check on this Head. I mean, we're very down on Head, but he's still winning 42% of the time. He gets 7-2 Boyle Sports. The big two, Kohli, is 23% of the time. He gets 7-2 generally top bat. So that's edge in your favour about 0.8% in terms of win rate versus implied probability. Rohit should be better for the run, but I mean, I don't think he didn't do any running with the duck. 33%. You're getting 9-2 with 365. That is a big old chunk in our favour. Zampa is one of our old favourites, and we often return to him, but we can't return to him on win rates. 4 wins in 19, so he's only winning at 21%. So we can't really be following him. Players to bet, Paul.
Well, I'm sticking with my Travis Head unders bet. This is 33.5 runs with 7 bets. His last 10 white ball starts, 9 times below 34 plus 142. And his last 20 white ball starts, he's gone under 34 17 times. You mentioned Zampa. Zampa's really interesting because I've always thought spinners do well here. Rashid Khan, particularly for Adelaide strikers. But the thing about Zampa is, it struck me as well when I went through his record, he's got an amazing record against the non-subcontinent teams, all of them, right? I just wonder against India if he's going to be that effective. But I still would be inclined to look at spinners for top bowler here.
Zampa definitely one for the run as well in the series. It takes time to get warmed up, does Zampa. Richard.
Yeah, well, it's milestones that interest me actually, in the hope that it'll be a good pick. I mean, Mitch Marsh, red hot form. I think you have to consider him. Worth noting, actually, Travis Head, Matthew Short. This is essentially a home game for them, so they should know conditions. But the one I'm really interested in, and I think this is a cracking bet 365, and they are standout here. 9-4 for Kohli to make a 50. Virat Kohli. He has got such a good record at this ground. He averages 52 here in Test matches at Adelaide, 61 in one-day internationals. I've referenced that 100 earlier. And he averages 204 in T20 internationals. He loves this place. Now, I know he hasn't had a lot of cricket lately, but I think just on that record, you have to make Kohli a bet in the milestones market.
There you go. Stick around till the end of the show to find out which of those make it into the best bets. Also, just time to tell you about the 0% margin feature at 7bet Sportsbook. The 0% margin feature at 7bet is designed to offer betting odds that do not include the typical margin added by the bookmaker. Check out more of their features on 7bet.co.uk/features. And New Zealand versus England at the third T20 Thursday, 07:15. It's a bit of a super Thursday, this. You'll be watching cricket all day if you want. 4-6, Hills go about England. 10 bet the same, and you're getting 13-10 the Kiwis with 365 Boyles, BetMGM, Virgin Bet. It's a night match at Auckland's Eden Park. We expect runs, I think. I'm going to check in with Paul in that in a second, but 173 average first innings score in your last 10. The average sixes per match over that period is 17.2. And just checking in all night T20, the RPO is 9.4. Just an early spot for me. Betfair Sportsbook, England match runs, overs 182.5 at 5 to 6. I think that's very generous on the short side. Paul, runs, is that fair?
Absolutely. So this is going to be my bet of the week. I'll get to it in a sec. Study sample, 6 games, only 5 with a full quota of runs, 21 sixes or more in 4 out of the 6 games, and that includes a 16 over match. Now, bear in mind what England are doing at the moment, sixes. You know, they went crazy today. They just hit 300 against South Africa. To me, the 17.5 sixes line looks completely wrong. And I just wonder if sometimes with these sixes lines, where do bookies just look for some kind of broad generic average of recent matches and ignore the ground? I mean, clearly Eden Park is not, it's an old ground, it's a small ground, it's a ground where they go crazy. You know, if this was an IPL place, we'd be seeing 23, 24 every game. So certainly if they bat first, I'd be going over 182. I think it's the sort of place you could get 250 very plausibly. But the bet of the week for me is England over 9.5 sixes at 11 to 10. I think that's a stonking bet.
Let's look at lineups for this one. Perhaps with sixes in mind, the Kiwis surely have to recognise they've got to find some batting power for somewhere to go toe-to-toe with England here. So Bevan Jacobs, I've got him coming in for Daryl Mitchell. Steve Robinson opening partnership is absolutely the right move, and that was smart of the Kiwis to do that. Ravindra at 3, Chapman, Jacobs, Bracewell, Neesham, Santner, Jameson, Henry and Duffy. England, Salt, Butler. If Zach Crawley is in this squad, which he is, with one eye on the Ashes, he's not in the ODI squad, surely he plays here. We'll get Richard's views on that. So I've got him at 3. Bethel, Brooke, Banton, Curran, Cast, Dawson, Rashid, Wood. Rich, thoughts on lineups, England dominance, New Zealand a little bit powder puff with the big boy power. Off you go.
Yeah, well, this is the one ground that New Zealand didn't want to face England, with a series on the line, because they'll just get out-muscled here in the sixes department. I mean, what was it? Was it 10-8 in the Christchurch game on Monday? Sixes in favour of England, but this is completely different. I just want to emphasise just how small this ground is. For people who aren't aware or maybe forgot, go on YouTube and just type Eden Gardens international cricket and you'll get a sense of just how short it is. You can't believe it when you watch it. 55 metres straight is the boundary at Eden Gardens, 68 metres square. I mean, 55 metres, that is absolutely nothing. It's just about, trying to get a list up here of the smallest grounds in world cricket. It's definitely in the top 5. This is tiny, and it'll suit England down to the ground. I think it'll be bombs away.
Bombs away. Bombs away on your Twitter field. If you keep Twitter field from people from Calcutta, if you keep calling it Eden Gardens, it's Eden Park.
Eden Park. I do apologise. I think Eden Gardens is in there. I can't get the list up.
Well, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. That's the Indian version.
I think that's in the 5, but I couldn't get on quick enough while I'm doing this.
Paul, who wins the match?
Oh, England. Too much power in T20. Too much power for this small ground.
Anything from you, Rich?
Hold on, I've lost my nuggets now. Runs. BTS, both teams to score 190. Betfair Sportsbook, Paddy Power, get it while you can. Both teams to score 190 is at 11 to 4. Both teams to score 200 is at 11 to 2. That's obviously very interesting. I suppose the one thing with that, if England bat first and make 260, New Zealand could implode, trying to keep pace and get rolled out for 160 themselves. I think if England bat first, that is where the real opportunity comes. I hope Paul's going to follow me up here because don't forget, this is the side that made 300 at Old Trafford. If England bat first here, I would suggest that absolutely anything is possible, Paul.
That's I 100% agree. I mean, I do think we're not doing ourselves any of us any favours publicising this because they've got it wrong, the bookies. They've priced this like a normal ground. We're on Monday. When we get to when this kicks off, I do not believe England's poll line will be anywhere near 182. It will be 200, 210. You know, and that's still no problem in going overs at 230, 240, 250. But this is like one of those IPL grounds like Eden Gardens or Delhi, you know, where par is 190 plus, definitely.
Yeah.
All righty. But I think what Paul's basically saying there, if it's timing wise, if some of these prices were coming out for a game, you know, as we record tomorrow or the next day, and we'd not just done a podcast on it, we would be looking at significant chunky stakes on the VIP channel. So good for you. Let's move on to player win rates for you. Josh Buttler, well, he seems to be due to me. It's 29%. You can get 3-1 generally. Also made a note about 9-2 top match bet, Betfair Sportsbook, Paddy Power, Sky Bet. Maybe because this is such a flat one and short boundaries, as we've said, the milestones betting 2-1 for a 50, or maybe even simpler than that, just less stress-free, 37.5. Overs on the player performance with Bet365. Matt Henry is 3-1 for top bowler and is due. I'm going to come to Paul on that one in a second, but Richard, players to follow for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Butler, milestone 50, that looks a real good bet. Excuse me. I do think this ground suits Matt Chapman. He made 94 here against Pakistan last year. Just short boundaries. I mean, it's just a touch and it's away, and he's a real touch player. So he might be a touch of value in the top New Zealand batsman market. I'll let Paul add more on Henry, but I would be tempted myself to stick with him. He's had catches dropped in the last two games. That's what the scorecard doesn't tell you. I think we've been pulling our hair out a little bit, haven't we? But that's just part and parcel of the game, and hopefully it'll even itself out.
Go on then, Paul. What about Matt Henry? Rare's blank as well on player performance. Would have won top bowler, I think, in the first game, wouldn't he? Because there were drop catches. But what's your view?
We've got to stick with it. I mean, look, this is a guy who's been delivering game in, game out for months, even 2 years or something, and he can't win every game. It's not like that. Cricket isn't like that. He's been super reliable. As Rich said, he was unlucky in both games with drop catches. Look, he's the best bowler in the side. He's bowling at times in the innings when the risks are taken by batsmen. I don't think he's a 3-1 chance. I think you've got to stick with him. The other, right, so you mentioned Buttler. Well, totally agree. But you might like this. I just spotted he's 5-2 for a 50 with live score bet MGM. That is a cracking price, isn't it? Because I think you'd probably rather do that than top batsman here, because 50 isn't necessarily a winner at all in what we think will be high scoring. And again, the line 26.5 runs for seven bet. I think that's a no brainer for an overs.
Yeah, spoken like a man who was on Buttler for top bat in that South Africa.
I knew it was coming.
300. We were on that on the VIP.
We were.
What did Buttler get, about 80 or
84?
24?
I think it's a record. Someone tweeted in, and I'm pretty sure. I think I've struggled to find anything better. That's a record loser in the top bat, and yeah, we had it.
We had it. All right. Best bets still to come. Of course, they come at the end of the show. We're sticking with New Zealand versus England. We've got a 3-game ODI series, which starts on Sunday. We've got no odds for this, obviously. But we're going to just have a quick trend check and strategy check. Paul, anything you want to raise?
Well, first point, again, I think that very big runs here, Bay Oval. Look, in recent years, you've had a 3.71, you've had a 3.19, a 3.24, a 3.26. Obviously, wait for the overheads. You had the last game there, 264 in the first innings off 42 overs. So that's a 330-ish situation, isn't it? I would just say in this that as much as we're really all over England at Eden Park, the format 50 over cricket is much less favourable to England. They haven't been that good at that format in recent times, and it's probably New Zealand's best format. So it might be a situation, especially if England win this one big, the third T20 big, where they're a decent price for this in these one-day games.
Yeah, Rich had a question about that. We expect New Zealand to be far more competitive, don't we? They've got Kane Williamson back in, for example, and maybe this is the series where England treat it as a sort of a glorified warm-up with some of their players coming back in, Duckett, Root. I mean, Archer's there. I'm surprised Archer's there. Why they're not wrapping him in cotton wool, I don't know. But Kiwi's a much better option in ODI.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, if you remember back in the summer, we were in the VIP. We were back in South Africa in that ODI series, and they were going off at like 2.7 from memory. And I think New Zealand might be bigger than that, you know. If they are, I suspect we'll at least be discussing it, won't we? Better format for New Zealand, not as strong for England. And as you said, Ed, the Ashes less of a distraction with the T20 stuff, but I think now the Roots and the Duckets come back, it is interesting to see how Duckett goes. Remember, he had a shocking sort of back end to the summer, didn't make a run in the 100, didn't make a run then in the international white ball stuff and was rested. So I'd have an eye on him. I think New Zealand have got a bit more going for them in this format, and particularly if we were to get some pitches somewhere that we weren't looking at 350 being par, it was more like 280. I think that's when New Zealand come into their own. And just final point I do want to make, if there is something in the pitches, extreme runs on England low is always worth having a few quid on. Do you remember Headingley? They played that first ODI against South Africa. I know they'd come straight off the 100, but I mean, that was a road. It always is a road. The runs lines were just way, way high, and yet England turned in a dismal performance through the back, which they are capable of doing in all formats.
Player win rates for you to look out for when odds do become available. Root 5 wins from 12 for top bat, so 41.6% on win rate. That's matches up to, but not including your last World Cup. We'll see teams go into a new cycle and look at different ways to do things. Archer 38%. Will Young for top Kiwi bat 28%. I'd rather have a look at him and see how he's shaping up there. I don't want to be backing him all three. And Matt Henry, no surprise, 4 wins in 9, 44%. You do expect that win rate to come down over this series, probably. But can well imagine trying him in all three. A 7-bet special offer for you just before we go to the best bets. Bet £10, get a £10 free bet with the promo code WFB10 on your first deposit. Minimum £10 stake, £10 free bet, minimum odds, even money, maximum winnings of £100, 5-day expiry, bonus, T's and C's apply. Alrighty, first bets time. We are 34 points to the good. We're returning on the VIP Telegram channel, I think something like 8% ROI. So we're doing nicely. Thank you very much. Paul and Richard both got 5 points to spend on the best bets. They will be posted on the free Telegram channel as well. Let's go to Paul first.
Okay, 3 points. England score over 9.56s for New Zealand, 11 to 10. That's with Betfair, Paddy Power, Sky Bet. I have a 1 point double. This is with 7-bet. Travis Head under 33.5 runs and Josh Butler over 26.5 runs. They're both at 5 to 6. And I'll have another point double, 1 point double. This is with Daffabet. Both teams to score 170, England, New Zealand at 1.74. And both teams to score 250, Australia, India at 1.82.
Richard Mann.
Right, yeah, 2 points. Both teams to score 190. New Zealand versus England. That's Paddy Power, Betfair, and Sky Bet. And then Australia, India, the one-day international. 2 points. Both teams to score 275 runs. That's Paddy Power, Betfair, and Sky Bet. And then finishing it off, last point in the Australia-India ODI. A point on Virat Kohli to make a 50 in the match at 9-4 Bet365.
There you go. That has been the Cricket Betting Podcast in association with 7bet.co.uk. Crick Stats is a place to go for all your cricket betting data. And if you want more bets until the next time we return in your ears, go to the VIP Telegram channel or the free Telegram channel. Get subbed up in those comments below. We'll be posting bets pretty much every day for every live game that we will be covering. And we will see you next week.